السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. الحمد لله رب العالمين. في لقائنا هذا شخصية قرآنية وشخصية علمية يكتبت لكل مسلم معرفة تاريخ هذا الشيخ. فلهذا الشيخ كتب جليلة وتاريخ عظيم في تاريخ الإسلام وكذلك في تاريخ العالم. هذا الشيخ نذر عمره ونفسه ووقته في خدمة القرآن وفي دفاع عن شريعة الله. واليوم سندرس جزءا عن تاريخه ألا وهو موهبة الشيخ تقي الدين حافظ ابن التيمية شيخ الإسلام. A very great scholar. He was an ayah, يعني آية من آيات الله. He was a sign from the miraculous signs of Allah Azza wa Jal. And so this sheikh, he was a very great asset for Islam, and he is one of the greatest scholars in the history of Islam. And we are going to learn something very small about his life here. And as I said, popularly known as Sheikh al-Islam. And Sheikh al-Islam is a title that is used for great Islamic scholars, people who have all-round knowledge in all fields of Islam, Okay, so Sheikh al-Islam Hafiz bin Taymiyyah, that was his name. Sheikh began by saying that Wulida Ahmad ibn Abdul Halim ibn Taymiyyah bi Harran. His full name was Ahmad ibn Abdul Halim ibn Taymiyyah, okay, Taqi Din bi Harran. He was born in Harran, okay, in modern day, that is somewhere in Turkey. Okay, that was where he was born. يوم اثنين, on a Monday, في 10 وكيل 11 ربيع الأول سنة 661. This was, he's given the date of his birth. وقدم مع والده وأهله إلى دمشق, and he left with his parents to Damascus, that's Syria. وهو صغير, while he was young. So while he was young, they left for Syria, Damascus. They left and then they were going to Syria. كانوا قد خرجوا من بلاد الحران. They had left the country, the place of Harran, this city in Turkey. مهاجرين بسبب جور التتار. They were traveling. Why? بسبب جور التتار, because of the oppression of the Tatar people. We have already studied the history of the Mongolians, the Tatar, And so these people, they were invading several, parts of the Islamic world. And so their oppression made people to evacuate and left their homes. And so Sheikh al-Islam, their family, they also left this Harran, this place, and then they were going to Syria, Damascus, to seek refuge there. He says that Fasaru bil layl, and so they moved by night. It was night time while they were living. ومعهم الكتب على عجلة لعدم الدواب, and with them was kutub, books. His father was also a very great scholar, so they had books, books that they are studying or whatever, and it was on ajala, wheels, لعدم الدواب, due to the absence of an animal. They didn't have any animal to carry the books, so they make some wheels, and then maybe we make a wooden structure, put it on wheels, and then it is carrying your items. That's what they are telling us. وَكَادَ الْعَدُوُّ يَلْحَقُهُمْ, and the enemy almost caught up with them. وَوَقَعَتِ الْعَجَلَةِ فَابْتَهَلُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ, and the ajala, the wheels, it fell. فَابْتَهَلُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى, and so they made dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. ابْتَهَلَ يَبْتَحِلُ, it means to make dua with sincerity and in khushu, in a state of khushu, being humbled. It's mostly used when you are in a state of danger and you are making dua. So such dua is called ibtahala ila Allah. وَاسْتَغَاثُوا بِهِ فَنَجَوْا, and they sought his help. Istaghasa, it means to seek help that you need adequately, like we need it instantaneously. Such help is called istighasa. The help that if it doesn't come at that point, you will be in trouble. It's not that you will need it in the future. Such kind of, you have to, there are different words for help in Arabic language. There are several of them, but each of them come with its distinct meaning. So this istighasa, it means help in the right quantity and at an appropriate time. We use it when we are doing supplication. You have salatul istighasa. When there's no rain and then we are praying, so we need rain in an adequate quantity. If it's too much, it will flood the place, and we need it at that time. It's not that we are praying that rain should come next 2 years. No, because we are suffering, we need it now and in a right quantity. So such help is called istighasa. Okay, so if the enemy was coming, they need the help instantaneously. Okay, so they succeeded. They were able to escape. وقدموا دمشق في أثناء سنة 667, and they left for Damascus during the period of 600, in the year 667. This was the year that they left for Damascus. So let's see what happens afterwards. He says that وسمع هناك من أكثر من 200 شيخ. He heard there, or he read from. This sami'a is a terminology when it's used in Islamic sciences. It means to study from. Okay, so if I say sami'tu min shaykh kaza wa kaza, meaning I studied from this sheikh and sheikh and so. Sami'a, not necessarily to hear, but as I said, it can come to mean to learn from. Okay, so sami'a hunaka min aksar min 200 shaykh. He studied there for more than 200 shuyukh. You see what I mean? Some of the things that contributed to his immense knowledge is that he was studying almost every time from this scholar to this scholar to this scholar to this scholar to this to that scholar. And similarly, when we were studying the Tariq of Imam Shafi'i, that was similar thing that we saw. Imam Shafi'i was just traveling around every time, from Syria to Damascus to Saudi Arabia to Egypt to where, going around. If he learned that there is a big scholar here, he will go and study there. From there, he move here. Even Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i went to him and studied. He studied from the student of Imam Malik. So we have to understand. So that was what, as I said, that was what contributed to his knowledge. He wasn't just sitting down and then the knowledge was coming. No, like they are saying here, he studied from more than 200 shuyukh, 200 great scholars. He studied from all of them. وَلَازَمَ السَّمَاعَ مُدَّةَ ثَنَتَيْنِ, and he persevered in listening, meaning studying, for a period of 2 years. 2 years, nothing. He's just dedicated studying from these scholars and so. وَاشْتَغَلَ بِالْعُلُومِ, and he was busy with the sciences of Islamic sciences. وَحِفْظُ الْقُرْآنِ, and Quran memorization. وَأَقْبَلَ عَلَى الْفِقْهِ, and he got devoted to fiqh. وَبَرَعَ فِي النَّحْوِ, and he excelled. He became proficient in Nahu. That is one thing secret about every sheikh, every student of the Quran, and every student of knowledge is Arabic. If your Arabic is weak, bear witness with me. It will be very difficult to get what you want. Arabic is like one of these scholars says that every country has its flag. Every country has its flag, and the flag of Islam is Arabic language. So that is number one thing. You need Arabic to reach higher levels when it comes to knowledge. So that's why I've always been emphasizing understanding our Arabic is very, very, very crucial. So وَبَرَفِ النَّحْوِ, like they are telling us here, Sheikh Islam, he was, this was the fundamental things that they had to capture first before any other thing. بَرَفِ النَّحْوِ, وَأَقْبَلَ عَلَى التَّفْسِيرِ, and then he got devoted to tafsir. He now took on to tafsir. إِقْبَالًا كُلِّيًّا حَتَّى هَذَا فِيهِ قَصَبُ السَّبْقِ. He got devoted to tafsir, complete devotion. حَتَّى هَذَا فِيهِ قَصَبُ السَّبْقِ. This is an expression هذا فيه قصب السوء. It's an expression to mean he attained a higher rank. Okay, when we say هذا الشيخ هذا في كذا وكذا قصب السوء, it means he attained a higher rank in it. Okay, so it's not to be translated literally. It's an expression which means he attained a higher rank in it. كل ذلك وهو ابن بضع عشرة سنة. All of that, he was just between 13 to 19 years. Bid'un, it means 3 to 9. So bid'u ashara, 13 to 19 years. He was just between the period of 13 to 19 years. And all of that time he has memorized Quran. He had he was devoted to fiqh. He excelled in Nahu, Arabic language, tafsir, and all that. He was just between 13 to 19 years. وَلَمْ يَزَلْ عَلَى ذَلِكَ حَلَفًا صَالِحًا. And he kept being a righteous successor. You know, he learned from several sheikhs, and so he was succeeding them. It was the dua of every sheikh who wish to have a student who will succeed in a nice manner. بَرًّا بِوَالِدَيْهِ. He was respectful. He was dutiful to his parents. Takiyan, he used to fear Allah Azza wa Jal. Wari'an, pious. Nasikan, nasik is like a zahid, someone who is seclusive. He secluded himself and then he's in the ibadah of Allah. That's a nasik. Nasikan. Sawaman, he used to fast a lot. Kawaman, he used to stand. You can see stand in prayer. Zakiran lillahi ta'ala fi kulli amrin. He used to remember Allah in every situation. Wa ala kulli halin, and in every condition. Raja'an ila Allah ta'ala fi sa'ir al-ahwali wal qadaya. He used to return back to Allah Azza wa Jal in other issues and matters. Waqafan inda hududillahi ta'ala. He used to stop at the boundaries of Allah Azza wa Jal. Wa awamirihi, and his commands. وَنَوَاهِهِ, and his prohibitions. Amiran bil ma'ruf, he was someone who command to good. Nahiyan anil munkar, he used to prohibit immorality or that which is not right. La takadu nafsuhu tashba'u min al-ilm. Himself, he was not content. He wasn't content with ilm, with knowledge. And that's what all of us have to do. The day you start thinking that you are free of knowledge, you don't need to learn anymore, that is the day your distraction begins. You know, so no matter your level, you still have to learn. You know, even the Prophet, Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam, he used to come to the Prophet and teach them and teach him. وَلَا تَرْوَى مِن مُطَالَعَةٍ. And his taste wasn't quenched when it's time to studying. This is coming from arwa or rawa, which means to irrigate. But when it's used for a person, human being, it means for your taste to be quenched, meaning still to be satisfied. So when it comes to mutala, okay, studying, gazing through, materials, resources, Islamic resources, he wasn't content. He kept doing it continuously. Wala tamillu min al-ishtigal, and he wasn't. This is coming from malla yamillu, which means to be annoyed or to be fed up, to be annoyed with something. He wasn't someone who was annoyed with getting busy, like all the time he was busy. Wala takillu min al-bahs, and he wasn't worn out. You can say, kella yakillu. It means to be worn out. You do something to a point where you can't do anymore. Okay, he wasn't like that. He wasn't worn out or getting excessive tired. In research, no, he kept doing research. وَكَانَ يَحْضُرُ الْمَجَالِسَ وَالْمَحَافِلِ فِي صِغَرِهِ. And he used to be present in the majalis, in sittings, وَالْمَحَافِلِ, and in meetings, فِي صِغَرِهِ, in his childhood. فَيَتَكَلَّمُ وَيُنَازِرُ وَيُفْحِمُ الْكِبَارَ. And he used to speak. He's there in a gathering of sheikhs, notable people in the society, but he will speak. وَيُنَازِرُ, and he will debate. وَيُفْحِمُ الْكِبَارَ, and he will afhama yufhimu. It means to get someone to provide an evidence such that the person have nothing more to say. You know, when you are sometimes debating with someone or arguing with someone, then you present a concrete evidence or argument such that your opponent have nothing else to say. He's just now quiet. He's defenseless. Such thing is called afhama, to dumbfound him. Not with her. Afha. With her will means to make him understand, but with her, afhama yufhimu, it means to give someone an evidence that the person can say anything again. That's afhama. Yufhimu kibara, and he would debate and provide arguments such that the notable people, the leaders, they'll be quiet. ويأتي بما يتحير منه أعيان البلد في العلم, and he will bring out points that the notable people, ayanul balad, the notable people in ilm, in knowledge, notable people in knowledge of the community, they will be confused. To provide points that they will be confused, they themselves, they don't know it. وَأَفْتَى وَلَهُ نَحْوُ 17 sana, and he gave fatwa. He started giving fatwa while he was 17 years. وَشَرَعَ فِي الْجَمْعِ وَالتَّعْلِيفِ مِنْ ذَلِكَ الْوَقْتِ, and he began shara'a, to begin something. He began collecting and authoring from this point, from that time, that's 17 years. He started gathering materials and authoring books. He started this work while he was 17 years. Allahu Akbar. He says that وَمَاتَ وَالِدُهُ فَكَانَ مِنْ كِبَارِ الْحَنَابِلَ وَأَئِمَّتِهِمْ, and his father died and he was from the leaders of the Hanabila. Okay, the Hanbaliya school of thought. His father was among their leaders. As I said, his father was also a very great scholar. وَأَئِمَّتِهِمْ, and their imams. His father was from their imams, the imams of the Hanbaliya school of thought. وَدَرَّسَ بِعِدَّةِ وَظَائِفٍ, and he taught in several fields. Okay, Shaykh al-Islam, he taught in several fields. Okay, hadith, tafsir, nahu, all this he taught. وَلَهُ 21 sana, and he had 21 years. فَاشْتَهَرَ أَمْرُهُ, and so his matter became popular. 21-year-old child or adult, being a scholar and teaching all these fields, so his matter became popular. وَبَعُدَ صِيتُهُ فِي الْعِلْمِ, and his reputation, it means reputation. So صيته, his reputation, it went far in knowledge. وأخذ في تفسير الكتاب العزيز أيام الجمعة على كرسي من حفظه, and he began في تفسير, in tafsir, he began doing tafsir. Aziz al-Kitab, that's the Quran. He began doing tafsir of the Quran Ayyam al-Jumu'ah, on Fridays, ala kursiyin, on a chair, min hifzihi, from his memory. فَكَانَ يُرِيدُ مَا يَقُولُ مِنْ دُونِ تَوَقُّفٍ وَلَا تَلَعْثُمٍ, and he used to bring out, or rather yuridu, it means to bring out. He used to bring out points or whatever he's saying from his memory, min duni tawakkufin, without stopping, wala tal'athumin, no stammering. Okay, tal'athama, it means, when we say tal'athama lisanuhu, it means his tongue is stammering. When someone is speaking and then he's stammering, because maybe he doesn't really know what he's saying, or he doesn't have enough points to say. So Sheikh won't do that, but he doesn't come with a book. When he come to do the tafsir, he come and then he's doing the tafsir from his memory. He pull out every point that he's coming to see from his memory without looking at anything and without pausing, tawakkufin. He doesn't stop. Wala talasumin, nor does he stammer. He says that wahajja sanata 691, and he did hijrah in the year 691. ورجع وقد انتهت إليه الإمامة في العلم والعمل, and he returned from the Hajj. وقد انتهت إليه الإمامة, and the imamship, the leadership, being the imam, it was something that went to him he was recognized for it. والعمل, and even doing good deeds. ولم يخلو بعد ذلك من فتنة بعد فتنة, and he wasn't spared. لم يخلو, he wasn't empty. Literal translation, you see, he wasn't empty of, or he wasn't free from. After that period, fitnatin ba'da fitna, okay, calamity after another calamity, trial after trial. ولم ينتقل طول عمره من محنة إلا إلى محنة, and he doesn't live from a test except that he fall in another test. After this great status that he attained, something happened. Gathering all this knowledge, and his reputation began spreading, and people was learning about him. Something happened, and that's what Sheikh is coming to tell us. حُبِسَ مِرَارًا فِي مَسَائِلِ الْفِقْهِيَّةِ وَكَلَامِيَّةِ. He was imprisoned. Hubisa, he was locked up, he was imprisoned. Miraran, several times. في مسائل الفقهية, in the issues of fiqh, وكلامية, and theology. So because of what he says in fiqh and in theology, what he was saying, the fatwas that he was given, he was locked up because of it. وَهُبِسَ مَرَّةً بِبُرْجٍ, and he was locked once in the burj, the tower that we all know in Damascus. وَكَانَ مَوْضِعُهُ فَسِيحًا, and his place was very wide. The manner where he was locked up, it was wide. فَصَارَ النَّاسُ يَدْخُلُونَ إِلَيْهِ وَيَقْرَؤُونَ عَلَيْهِ, and people began entering to him, upon him. وَيَقْرَؤُونَ عَلَيْهِ, and then they were reading on him. Simply meaning they were learning from him. That time you go to the sheikh, you sit down and then you read, or you tell him what you know, then the sheikh will correct you. So that's why they use the term يَقْرَؤُ عَلَى. Okay, so يَقْرَؤُونَ عَلَيْهِ, people went and then they were reading to him, and then he was teaching them. وَيَبْحَثُونَ مَعَهُ, and then they were doing research with him. وَنُكِلَ إِلَى الْجُبِّ. So this is a prison that he was locked in, but people were going in because the place was wide. So they started a class there in the prison. وَنُكِلَ إِلَى الْجُبِّ, so he was being transferred to a pit. Al-Jub, a pit. Okay, a pit. So there are cells like that. There are prisons where it is kind of underground. They dig a pit and then they put you there. So that was what they did to him. وَنُفِيَ مِنْ بِلَادٍ, and he was exiled. Nufia, nafa yamfi. Nafa yamfi. It means to exile someone. Okay, it comes in the Quran. Okay, I think in Suratul Maw-izah. Yes, I think Suratul Maw-izah. Okay. إنما جزاء الذين يحاربون الله ورسوله أن يقتلوا أو يصلبوا أو تقطع أيديهم وأرجلهم من خلاف أو ينفوا من الأرض. That Allah says, أو ينفوا من الأرض. Okay, those who wage war against Allah, Allah mentions some punishment and say one of them is that they should be exiled, they should be removed from the place, from the community. So وَنُفِيَ مِنْ بِلَادٍ, and he was being exiled from that city. وَنُكِلَ مِنْ بَلَدٍ إِلَى بَلَدٍ, and he was transferred from city to another city. وقاموا عليه في شهر رمضان سنة 719. They sat on him, بمعنى on his matter. Okay, they started his trial to decide what to do to him. في شهر رمضان, in the month of Ramadan, and that was the year 719. وأكد عليه المنع من الفتية, and they settled on preventing him or prohibiting him from giving fatwa. Okay, from giving fatwa. That was what they decided. ثم أكد له مجلسا آخر في رجب سنة 720. And they sat on him again. Okay, ukida bimana to convene, whether a meeting or whatever. That is ukida. Okay, from this is the majhul form. The actual verb is aqada. Okay, so they convene on his, lahu majlisan, in meeting for him, bimana for his matter again. Fi Rajab, in the month of Rajab, that was 720. Okay, this year. Summa hubisa bil qal'a. Then afterwards he was hubisa, he was imprisoned bil qal'a, in the Qal'a, I mean the famous Qal'a that we know, Qal'at al-Hamra, the red castle. Okay, ثم أخرج في عاشوراء سنة 721. He was removed, he was brought out from custody in Ashura in the year 721. ثم قاموا عليه مرة أخرى. So it was like that. He go to prison, he come out, he go to prison, he come out like that. ثم قاموا عليه مرة أخرى. Then afterwards they sat on his matter again, another time. في شعبان, in the month of Sha'ban. Okay, in the year 726, the year 726. بسبب مسألة الزيارة, due to the issue of ziyarah. You know, Imam Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he passed a particular fatwa he said, according to him, he was saying that if you go solely to the Prophet's city to visit his grave, it is something that is not allowed in Islam. So people used to do that, to go just solely to visit the grave of the Prophet. But he was against this. Okay, he was saying that you can go, but if you shouldn't go with the intention of only going to visit the masjid, the grave of the Prophet. You can go to Medina, then afterwards you can go visit the grave, but you don't go fully with the intention of just going only to the grave. So that, according to Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he passed this fatwa, and those who were rulers that time, they didn't like that fatwa. They find it to be problematic. And not only this, this is among the famous issues or fatwas that he has given, which landed him in trouble. But it wasn't just only this. There were a lot of fatwa that he gave, and the leaders were seeing it to be something, I don't know whether against them or they saw it as a threat or whatever. No. So, but actually, Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he was right. You know, he was right. People people at that time, they used to have wrong beliefs. Wrong beliefs. They weren't ilm, they weren't knowledge. They weren't knowledge. And so Sheikh al-Islam, when he came, it's as if he dug up knowledge, and then he tried to correcting the people from their wrong beliefs and all this. And that's the nature of people. You can't just change people overnight, you know. And so, of course, even when you are right, it will take time before people will accept what you are doing, you know. So at that time, those who were there, they were opposing him. They saw him to be like, no, this is the way we do our things. So you shouldn't come and tell us. You know, Allah himself says in the Quran, "Inna wajadna aba'ana ala ummatin wa inna ala atharihim muqtadun." We saw this is how our predecessors, this is how they do their things. So you shouldn't come and bring new things. People doesn't like change. It's the nature of people. Especially when they are not sincere, it will be very difficult. They will try plotting against you. And that was what happened to Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. He was very right. He was, in a lot of the fatwa that he gave, he was right, trying to, correct the people and bring them on a right practice, calling them with ilm, with knowledge. But the people weren't ready to. The leaders weren't. They had some selfish gains and then desires, and so they took those actions against him. Then he says that وَأْتُكِلَ بِالْقَلَعَةِ. He was locked up in the Qal'a again. اعتقل يعتقل, it means to lock up. Okay, اعتقل لسانه, his tongue is locked up. I think we saw this expression before. فَلَمْ يَزَلْ بِهَا إِلَىٰ أَمَّاتَ فِي لَيْلَةِ 22 من ذي القعدة سنة 728. لم يزل بها, he kept being in it. بمعنى he was there in that Qal'a إلى أمات, till the point where he died. في ليلة 2, in the night of, it was a Monday night. Okay, ليلة 22, sorry, ليلة 22 in the night of 22nd من ذي القعدة, in the month of ذي القعدة, 22nd of ذي القعدة, in the year 728. That was when he died. Then he says that وَصُلِّيَ عَلَيْهِ بِجَامِعِ دَمَشْقِ. They prayed on him, they did the janazah on him at the masjid of the Damascus. وَصَارَ يُضْرَبُ بِكَسْرَةِ مَنْ حَضَرَ جَنَازَتَهُ الْمَسَلِ. And the large population of people who were at his funeral, it became an analogy. صار يضرب بكثرة من حضر جنازته المثل. The large number of people, okay, who was present at his janaza, it became an analogy. People started using it as an analogy. So for example, I would say that for example, if I want to give an idea of how people were plenty at madrasa today, I'll say that الناس الذين حضروا في المدرسة اليوم أكثر من الناس الذين حضروا في جنازة شيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية. People started saying something like that. When they want to describe a large population, they'll see that the population today was more than the number of people who was even in the janaza of Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. So they started using it as an analogy. Okay, very large number of people all over the world. Those who could, they came and then to see, to witness the janaza of Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. He says that وَأَقَلُّ مَا كِيلَ فِي عَدَدِهِمْ إِنَّهُمْ خَمْسُونَ أَلْفًا. And the list that is set, okay, فِي عَدَدِهِمْ in their number, إِنَّهُمْ خَمْسُونَ أَلْفًا. It is 50,000. That's the list. There are different figures that people give, but the list of it is 50,000. So 50,000 people or more attended his janaza. قال الذهبي. So الذهبي he says that كان يقضى منه العجب إذا ذكر مسألة من مسائل الخلاف. Okay, يقضى منه العجب is an expression to mean you will become amazing. يقضى منه العجب. Okay, كان يقضى منه العجب. One used to get amazed from him. إذا ذكر مسألة من مسائل الخلاف. If he should open his mouth and mention issues among the issues of differences. Okay, there are some issues in Islam where there are difference of opinions. So if Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah is going to give you this difference, you'll be amazed. He was a master in it. He knows whatever any scholar says. Okay, previously, so he has it in his memory and he can give you all the opinions that exist. Wastadalla, and then istadalla yastadillu, it means to bring evidence, and tatiya bi dalil, to bring an evidence. So he will bring evidence. Warajjaha, and then he will tarjih, means to point out which is best. When you have different opinions, then you say this one is the best opinion. That's tarjih. You are pointing out the most accurate one. So he will give proof and then he will give the most accurate one. وَكَانَ يَحُقُّ لَهُ الْإِجْتِهَادُ لِإِجْتِمَاعِ شُرُوطِهِ فِيهِ. And he deserved doing ijtihad. He was someone who had the right to do ijtihad. يَحُقُّ لَهُ الْإِجْتِهَادُ لِإِجْتِمَاعِ شُرُوطِهِ فِيهِ. Due to the presence of all his conditions with him. He had all the conditions that it takes to do ijtihad. For you to do ijtihad, you have to have certain level of knowledge in several fields of Islam. And Sheikh qualified for it. That's what he's telling us. وَمَا رَأَيْتُ أَسْرَعَ إِنْتِزَاءً لِآيَاتِ الدَّالَّةِ عَلَى الْمَسْأَلَةِ الَّتِي يُرِيدُهَا مِنْ. And I haven't seen anyone who is faster. Asra'a, someone who is very fast. I haven't seen anyone who is very fast. In what? إِنْتِزَاءً لِآيَاتِ الدَّالَّةِ. In bringing out, intiza, younging out, intaza yantazi'u, for something to be young out, in bringing out, pulling out, ayats, adallatu ala al-mas'alati allati yuriduha min. That points to the matter which he is presenting. So if Sheikh is presenting any matter, he brings out ayats that point to that issue to buttress his points. And Sheikh is telling us that he hasn't seen anyone who was faster in that. When he just mentioned this issue, he will bring a supporting ayah. He was very, very fast in that. That's what Sheikh is telling us here. وَلَا أَشَدَّ إِسْتِحْضَارًا لِلْمُتُونِ وَأَزْوِهَا مِنْ. And no one, I haven't seen, still a continuation, and I haven't seen someone who is severe or someone who is swift in what? Istihdaran, in presenting. Al-mutun. Mutun is text. Okay, text of a scholar, this scholar text have this text and so and so. As we have mean and alluding it to it. As one, it means to allude something to someone. So if I say this person said this, I've done azu. okay, as one to attribute something to someone. So he will bring mutun text of some scholars, and then he will attribute it. This is the one who said this, and this is the one who said this. He will do that. كأن السنة نصب عينيه, as if the sunnah was right in front of his eyes. نصب عينيه is also an expression, which means for something to be right in front of you, right in front of your eyes. That's نصب عينيه. So that's what he's saying. Let me underline it. نصب عينيه, as if the sunnah was right in front of his eyes. وعلى طرف لسانه, and on the tip of his tongue. بإبارة رشيقة, with expressions that he described as رشيقة. I would say رشيقة, it means something like swift. Okay, he just brings some swift expressions. وعين مفتوحة, and open eyes. Sheikh speaks with open eyes. You know, he knows what he's saying. وكان آية من آيات الله في التفسير والتوسع فيه. And he was a miraculous sign among the miraculous signs of Allah Azza wa Jal. Yes, it's true. Okay, this is someone who was granted he had a photographic memory that we will still read. So he wasn't just in it, how do I see it? Allah really granted him knowledge. He was a sea, an ocean of knowledge. So ayatan min ayatillah. He was this person, he devoted his whole self. He didn't even marry. Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he didn't marry. You know. And most scholars, Allah knows the reason why he didn't marry, but most scholars do attribute it to the knowledge. He was busy, اشتغاله للعلم. His being busy with knowledge, that was what kept him away from marrying. He didn't even get time to marry. وَكَانَ آيَةً مِنْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ. So Allah just brought such. There are certain people, Allah bring them like that. Okay, in generations, when a generation come, Allah can bring someone like that. You know. And those people, as Sheikh is saying here, they are from the miraculous signs of Allah. في tafsir, and in tafsir, what tawassu fi, and is deaf, the deaf of tafsir. You know, Sheikh was someone who was an ayah in it. وأما أصول الديانة ومعرفة أقوال المخالفين, and as for the أصول الديانة, أصول الدين, بمعنى he's talking about أصول الدين, ومعرفة أقوال المخالفين, and the knowing the statement of those who differ in it. فكان لا يشك غباره فيه. Sheikh is giving us a lot of expressions. لا يشك غباره فيه. It's an expression that the Arabs, they use a lot. Okay, لا يشك غباره فيه. It means he had no challenger. That's literally what it means. He had no challenger. You know, this is used in the Arab time, the pre-Islamic era. You know, when the Arabs, they like horses. There were people who like horses and racing. You know, Surah Al-Adiyat teaches this. So the Arabs, is part of their nature. They used to like riding and competition with their horses. And so this expression came from that. You know, there was someone who was very, very fast. His horse was very fast to you know, when they are running, dust, when the horse is running, it makes the dust to rise. And so the dust rises, and then there is a cloud of dust in the atmosphere. And so, you know, when they are following one another, if your horse is faster and someone is faster than you, your horse can easily catch up. It can easily penetrate the dust that the person has. You are at his back, so you will be following his dust, the dust that he is putting in the atmosphere. You know, if someone is faster than you and the person is in front of you and you are at his back, and the horse of the person is, putting some dust into the atmosphere, you will be in the dust. So you can easily cut through the dust and catch up with the person if your horse is fast. But if your horse is not fast, you won't even get to the dust. By the time you get to the dust, it will settle down. Then he's far away. Then you see cloud of dust rising again. By the time you get there, the dust has already settled. Meaning your horse is very, it's not fast in nature. So they got this expression from it. Shakka means to cut. So la yashukku gubar. Gubar is dust. So when they say this person, la yashukku gubaruhu fi, it means the dust of his horse cannot be cut. No one can cut through it and get to him and catch up with him. So they get that expression from the la yashukku gubaruhu fi. The horse is so fast that if it is running, and then it put dust in the atmosphere. By the time you get to even get to the dust, you can't cut through the dust. By the time you get to the dust, he's already gone somewhere, and then the dust has settled. Another dust somewhere like that. So you can't even, pierce through the dust and then catch up with him. So such thing, they say, La yashuku gubaruhu fi. And from there, they got this expression, and then it becomes very wide. It's used in any context to mean that you have no challenger. So La yashuku gubaruhu fi, meaning he has no challenger. So that's what it means. And so Sheikh is saying that when it comes to usul diyana, usul din, the fundamentals of the religions, wa ma'rifati aqwal al-mukhalifin, and knowing the statement of those who differ in it, the statement of various scholars who has differences, Sheikh had no challenger in that. He was someone who knows what every Sheikh said in this matter and all that. هذا مع ما كان عليه من الكرم. That, in addition to what he had of virtue, was shaja and bravery, والفراغ عن ملاذة النفس, and being free from enticing his soul. Malaz, things that entice, amusement or those kind of things that will things that you get some amusement from them. Malaz, malaz in nafs. He wasn't someone who was concentrating on enticing his soul, trying to enjoy or give the soul so much enjoyment. Sheikh wasn't like that. وَلَعَلَّ فَتَوَاهُ فِي الْفُنُونِ تَبْلُغُ 300 مَجَلَّةً. And perhaps his fatwa, the fatwa that he gives, the fatwas that he gives, fil funun, in sciences, fannin or fannun, it means a field of knowledge. So let's say Arabic Luga is a field of knowledge, fiqh is a field of knowledge, okay, hadith is a field of knowledge. So his fatwa in various fields of knowledge, tablugu 300, it reaches, perhaps he's just doing perhaps la'alla, this is even an estimation, it reaches 300 volumes, so fatwa of Sheikh him getting 300 volumes, and this is just an estimation. Bal aksar, rather it is even more. وَكَانَ كَوَّالًا بِالْحَقِّ, and he used to say the truth a lot. You can remember that's what got him in prison, saying the truth. لَا تَأْخُذُهُ فِي اللَّهِ لَوْمَةُ لَائِمٍ. He is not held accountable in the sight of Allah for the criticism of the critics. If someone criticizes you and you are right, it doesn't hold in the sight of Allah. He was someone who, like she says, kawalan bihaq. He used to say the truth, no matter what. Even if the leaders doesn't like it, he'll say it. Kana abiyada, Sheikh was white. He was a white person. Aswad al-ras wal-lihya. He had black hair. Ras here means sha'r. He had black hair and then black lihya. His beard was also black. Qalil al-shayba. He had little gray hair. Okay, shayba is the gray hair. Sha'ruhu ila shahmati uznayhi. His hair, it reaches when we say shahmatul uzun, it means the earlobes. So his hair was reaching his earlobes. وَكَأَنَّ عَيْنَيْهِ لِسَانَانِ نَاتِقَانِ. And as if his two eyes were two tongues that were speaking. رَبَعَةٌ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ. Raba'a, it means moderate of height. Okay, something of moderate height is called raba'a. Raba'a. So when it's used to describe a man or a person, any person, it means that the person is of moderate height. So he had moderate height of men. Ba'idu ma bayna mankibayni. What was between his two shoulders? Mankib is the shoulder. So what was between his two shoulders were white. He had a white chest. Jahwari sawt. His voice was very loud. He had a very deep and loud voice. Fasihun. He was very eloquent. Sari'ul qira'a. He was fast in reading. Ta'tarihi hiddatun. Hiddah, it means agitation. It can sometimes used to mean anger. Okay, ta'tarihi, i'tara ya'tari. It means for something to overtake you. So he was easily agitated, or he was easily taken by anger or agitation. But yakrahuha bil hilm. He used to overpower it. Okay, he used to overpower it with hilm, severe patience. Lam ara mislahu fil ibtihalihi. I haven't seen his like in his ibtihal, in his prayer, supplication, was istighasatihi, and his dua, istighasa, to seek Allah's help. Wa kasrati tawajjuhi, and his severe or his his severe turning back to Allah. Tawajjuh is actually means to turn back to Allah Azza wa Jalla, to continuously turn back to Allah. That's tawajjuh. Okay, he used to turn back to Allah a lot. Wa ana la a'taqidu fihi isma, and I am not confirming that, or I am not claiming that he is free of sin. Allah is isma, it means to be free of sin. So Sheikh is telling us that he's not claiming that all that he has said about him, he's not claiming that Sheikh is not free of sin. But وَكَانَ بَشَرًا مِنَ الْبَشَرِ, he was a man from men. So تَعْتَرِيهِ حِدَّةٌ فِي الْبَحْثِ وَالْغَدَبِ, he was overtaken sometimes by, he was severe here, you can see he was severe in his bahs, in his research, and even in his ghadab, in his anger, he was severe in his anger. وَكُلُّ أَحَدٍ يُؤْخَذُ مِنْ قَوْلِهِ وَيُتْرَكُ, and everyone takes from his speech, from his statement, and leaves some. So you take something from him, you leave something from him. He may say something, you don't like it, you don't take it. He may say something, you like it, and then you take it. And that's the nature of everyone. Aside Rasulullah, everyone is subjected to mistake. You know, aside the Prophet, any other person is subjected to mistake, no matter who you are. So that's what Sheikh is telling us here. Sheikh wasn't free from errors or mistakes. وَكَانَ مُحَافِظًا عَلَى الصَّلَاةِ وَالصَّوْمِ, and he used to preserve the salat, the prayers, and then the fasting. مُعَظَّمًا لِلشَّرَائِعِ, he used to glorify the Sharia a lot. Of course, that was what led him in the trouble, you know, trying to protect the Sharia by learning and teaching its right knowledge. I mean, its pure knowledge. ظَاهِرًا وَبَاطِنًا, internally and even externally. La yu'ta min su'i fahmin, he wasn't, you don't come to him with bad understanding or with wrong understanding. No one come to him with wrong understanding. He will open your eyes, he will clarify and put things in order for you. You can't come and confuse him with bad understanding or wrong understanding. Of course, there are people like that today. He understands something wrongly and he's claiming. He come and then he claim. You know, so Sheikh, you can come to him with such knowledge. فَإِنَّ لَهُ زَكَاءَ الْمُفْرِطِ, he used to have sharp intelligence. وَلَا مِنْ قِلَّةِ عِلْمٍ, and you don't even come to him with little knowledge. You don't come to him with little knowledge to try to convince him or try to confuse him. فَإِنَّهُ بَحْرُ زَهَارٍ, for indeed he was a bahr, he was a sea that was ranan. Zahar means ranan, something ranan. Okay, he was a sea, an overflowing sea of knowledge. وَلَا كَانَ مُتَلَاعِبًا بِالدِّينِ, and he wasn't playing with the deen, with the religion. وَلَا يَنْفَرِدُ بِمَسَائِلِهِ بِالتَّشَهِّي, and he wasn't someone who secluded himself in his masail, his issues. بِالتَّشَهِّي, with no self-desire. What it means is that he doesn't, infarada yanfaridu, it means to seclude yourself, to try to be alone, or to be, exception to all other people. People do that. There are some people, this is the issue, this is the correct way, but he won't go that. He wants something. People are always attentive to something new. People are always attentive to something. If everybody is going this direction and then you decide to go this direction, then people will be looking at you. People are attentive to something that is new. So some people, they will intentionally know that this is the right way and everybody is doing it this right way. He will intentionally do it some way in order to draw people attention. So that's what Sheikh is telling us here. La yanfaridu. He used not to seclude himself in his issues. The man at the fatwa that he was giving, he doesn't give a fatwa with a low self-desire of trying to attract people attention. No. Wala yutliqu lisanahu bima ittafaqa, and he used not to freely talk. Yutliqu lisanahu is also an expression. He used not to talk freely for whatever comes his way. Bal yahtaju bil Quran, rather he will argue with the Quran, wal hadith and the hadith, wal qiyas and qiyas. You know, qiyas is analogy. You know, people do that. They're scholars. contemporary issues that wasn't there at the time of the Prophet. Then they take it and then they try to look at issues that are similar to it, and then they are already verdict, and then they compare it and come out with a fatwa. So Sheikh used to do that. That's what he's saying. He bring all this evidence. Wa yubarahinu, and then he'll bring burhan, proof. Wa yunaziru, and then he will now argue or debate. قال الأكشهري في رحلته, in his رحلة, in his trip, Ibn Taymiyyah bari'un fil fiqh. Ibn Taymiyyah is exceptionally excellent and proficient in fiqh. Wal aslain, and aslain, the two fundamentals, usul al-din wal usul fiqh. Okay. Wal fara'id, and fara'id, the issues of inheritance, the knowledge of sharing inheritance. Wal hisab, and hisab, calculations. He was very good in calculation, like a mathematician. Wal funun ukhar, and other fields. وَمَا مِنْ فَنٍّ إِلَّا لَهُ فِيهِ يَدٌ تُولَى, and there wasn't a field of knowledge except that he had an upper hand in it. Allahu Akbar. Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, that's what happened. The people like the Sufis, okay, the Shias, okay, the Ash'ariyah, and all these people, they used to come to Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah to learn their sect. The Shias, the Sufis, okay, and all those sectarian people. Some of them used to come to Sheikh to learn their history, because Sheikh was someone who knew. He knew when he said that in one of his statements. Sheikh Islam says that he knew all those sects, where they came from, who started them, when it started, and what it entails and what it doesn't entails. So he knew all that. And so those people, their scholars used to even come to him to learn from him. So that's what he's saying. وَمَا مِنْ فَنٍّ إِلَّا لَهُ فِيهِ يَدٌ تُولَى. There wasn't a field except that he had an upper hand in it. He had knowledge in it. وَقَلَمُهُ وَلِسَانُهُ مُتَقَارِبَانِ, and his pen and his tongue, they were close, meaning he speaks and then he writes a lot. وقال الشمس الدين ابن حريري قاضي الحنفية بدمشق. This person, Shamsuddin ibn Hariri, Qadi, he was the Qadi, the judge of Hanafiya بدمشق at Damashq. He says that إنه منذ 300 سنة ما رأى الناس مثله. Indeed, since 300 years, people haven't seen his like. Since 300 years, people haven't seen the like of him. So that was what this particular person says, Shamsuddin ibn al-Hariri. وكان ابن تيمية يتكلم على المنبر على طريقة المفسرين. Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he used to speak on the minbar, okay, على طريقة المفسرين, on the methodology of the mufassirin, those who give tafsir of the Quran. مع الفقه والفقه, he used to speak with fiqh والحديث and hadith. فيورد في ساعة من الكتاب, and he will bring out, rather يورد, it means to present something. He will present في ساعة, in a moment, from the kitab, the Quran, was sunnah, and then the sunnah, wal luga, and then the luga, wal nazar, and views or opinions of shuyukh, of scholars. He will present all these things. ما لا يقدر أحد على أن يورده في عدة مجالس, that which is not possible for a person or someone, is not possible for anyone, and ala an yuridahu, to present it fi iddati majalis, in a number of sittings. Okay, in a number of sittings, there are people who they can't do it. They can't present that which he will present in one sitting. Okay, from his memory. كأن هذه العلوم بين عينيه, as if those ulum, those sciences, they were right in front of his eyes. فيأخذ منها ما يشاء ويذر, and he takes whatever he wants and leave whatever he wants. وكان يمر بالكتاب مطالعة مرة, and he used to pass by a book, the man reading through a book. He used to read through a book once. فينتكش في ذهنه, and it will be imprinted in his zihn, in his memory. انتقش ينتقش, it means for something to be imprinted. في ذهنه, in his memory. وينقله في مصنفاته بلفظه ومعناه, and he will transfer it into his musannafat, his authorship. You also have authorship بلفظه ومعناه, with his words and his meanings. So Sheikh, when he's writing when he's authoring a particular book or something, he will quote those things that he read once and it's imprinted in his mind. He will quote them with their words, exact words, with those exact words, وَمَعْنَاهُ a meaning. And it's just that he read it once, but he can quote it. After several time has passed, and he's writing his book, he quotes those things without even returning back to those books again, those materials. وَكَانَ مِنْ أَذْكِيَاءِ الْعَالَمِ. He was among the intelligent people of the world. So it wasn't just in the Islamic world, but in the whole world. He was among the intelligent people at that time. وَلَهُ فِي ذَلِكَ أُمُورٌ عَظِيمًا. And he have in that regard great matters. There are certain, in regard to his intelligence, there are great things that happened. Let's see. منها أن محمد ابن أبي بكر السكاكيني عمل أبياتا على لسان الزمي. The one of them is that Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr as-Sakakini, this particular person, Amira Abiyatan, he made abiyat. Okay, abiyat, he made some lines of poems. Ala lisan zimmi, on the tongue of a zimmi. The man, he was narrating a particular zimmi. Zimmi means during the time of Islam, you know, when Islam conquers a place, there are people, mostly people of the book Ahlul Kitab, the Jews and the Christians, who may want to, they are not Muslims, but they want to be staying in the Islamic countries. So they will be paying some tax and then they will be living there and then they will be protected by the Muslims. So those people are called Zimmi. Okay, one of them is called Zimmi. Okay, Ahlul Zimma. So those people who were people of the book, they were not Muslims, but living under the protection of the Muslims. One of them made a particular book, which he was fi inkar al-qadr. He was refuting qadr. Okay, decree, divine decree. He was refuting it. And so Sheikh Abi Bakr as-Sakakini, he made an abiyat quoting the Zimmi. فَوَقَفَ عَلَيْهَا Ibn Taymiyyah, and Ibn Taymiyyah came across it. Those things, it was meant to silence the scholars at that time. He made something, a very concrete argument refuting divine decree. And some of the sheikhs or the scholars at that time, they couldn't come out with counter arguments to counter what he's saying. But that thing, that material, it came up. Sheikh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah came across it. That's what they are telling us. Fathana ihda rijlayhi. Thana means to fold. He folded one of his leg ala al-ukhra on the other. He folded one leg on the other. You see how we sit in circles of knowledge. They will sit and then fold the legs. That was what Sheikh did in a masjid. وَأَجَابَ فِي مَجْلِسِهِ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَقُومَ بِمِئَةٍ وَتِسْعَةِ عَشَرَةَ بَيْتًا. He replied, Ajaba, he came across the material and he replied. He folded his leg and just sit down in one sitting and replied في مجلسه, in his sitting, قبل أن يقوم, before he stood up, بمئة وتسعة عشرة بيتا, with 119 abiyas. So in one sitting, Sheikh wrote 119 lines of poems refuting this statement of this Zimmi that was refuting Qadar. And it was a lasting solution to what that person wrote that was refuting Qadar. Sheikh provided an answer for a solution to what those corrupt beliefs that he wrote, and then it was confusing to people. In one sitting, Sheikh just sat down and write it, refuting him, 119 abiyas, refuting him from his memory. وَكَانَ دَائِمَ الْإِبْتِهَالِ. And he used to seek Allah's, used to make dua a lot. Ibtihal, we have already said it. Ibtahala, to make dua. Kathir al-istighatha, he used to seek Allah's help a lot. Kawiyya tawakkul, he used to have strong reliance on Allah Azza wa Jal. Rabit al-Jash, he used to have strong or firm composure. Al-Jash means composure. Lahu awradun wa askarun yudminuha qalbiyatan wa jama'iyya. He used to have awrad. When we say awrad, is the plural of wird, which means something that you write to seek. You say it personally to seek Allah's, as a dua. It's just like a dua that you make, personal dua. It's called wird. You are askar, and askar is also dua. Okay, supplication. But askar is specific. It comes from the Sharia. azkar, and it has appropriate times that you are supposed to see it. Let's say when you wake up, the azkar that you see. Okay, when you are about to eat, when you are entering the toilet, all these things, they are azkar that you see at appropriate times. And it's from the Sharia, it's coming from the Prophet, or it's even coming from the Quran. But awrad is your personal, words. You just make some words that you are supplicating to Allah with those words. Okay, you have a particular prayer that you are always saying. It's personal. It's not from the Sharia, and it's not, restricted to some times. You just say it any time. So that is the difference between wird and azkar. Okay, zikr. Wird is supplication. Zikr is also supplication. But as I said, wird is personal, and azkar from zikr is merely from the Sharia, and it is specific at some specific time. Yudminuha qalbiya. Admana yudminu, it means to be devoted to something. Okay, to be addicted or devoted to something. So he had some personal du'as and even du'as from the Sharia that he was devoted to them. Qalbiya, solely from his heart. He used to say it from his heart, zikr from the heart. Wa jama'iyya, and even jama'iyya from his body. Sometimes you say something, but it's not coming from your word, from your heart. You just sit down and say subhanallah, subhanallah, subhanallah. But it's not coming from your heart. You are not really thinking about it. Okay. But sometimes you can see it and your heart is present. So that's qalbiyya wa jam'iyya. Qalbiyya, so he says it deeply from the heart. Wa jam'iyya. And even just normal, saying it from the heart, and even his body is also doing the zikr. And with this, we come to the end of this brief description of Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah. Jazak Allahu Khairan. If anything is not clear, please try to draw our attention. We'll try to put things in order. جزاكم الله خيرا وبارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الحكيم ونفعني وإياكم من آياته وذكر الحكيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.